hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss anything from ESPN Chicago. Cap and I and the rest of the station was at Halas Hall yesterday for a great meeting, a great getting to know you meeting yesterday. And it's one thing for us, Cap, to be able to talk about the Bears here in studio and talk about them as we get ready for their first preseason game. But you could feel that it's palpable, the feeling around Halas Hall about the direction of this football team.
The buzz up there, I think that's a great word, palpable. They truly feel like all that nonsense of the past, other than 2018, 10, 12 years, that's in the past, and they are sailing to the stars. And it's really cool to see. I hope they're right. I think they might be a year ahead of themselves, but they feel like, man, the buzz in our room is outstanding. They've got great leaders in there. We talk about the White Sox culture. The Bears feel like, and Matt Eberflus has talked with the media about the culture in our room is outstanding. They got guys that hold each other accountable. Tremaine Edmonds has become the big leader on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, Justin has absolutely cemented himself according to his teammates. That's our guy. That's our leader right there. Is the buzz realistic? The comment was they can have a dominant defense. That's what one of the players said. Dominant defense. They were 31st against the run last year. They were one of the 5 worst by any metric. You've said the worst of your lifetime, and that's a big statement. So is it realistic? Maybe, maybe not. Does it matter? I love that they're so optimistic about where this thing could go.
Well, it's not just our optimism, but also how it's being read and how things are being said about the Bears nationally, because I've never seen more optimism around a 3-win ball club like the Chicago Bears. And I think that's interesting because everyone believes that the arrow is pointing up for the team. Now, listen, I think you and I have lived through a lot of bad Bears football, underachieving Bears football, but this is a 3-win team, and it was by design. What is interesting to me is that when people see the additions of DJ Moore, the 2 linebackers and Edwards and Edmonds, when they see Nate Davis on the offensive line, when you're adding some muscle with DeMarcus Walker at defensive end, Rasheem Green, there's some names there. I think that the feeling, Cap, is like, okay, now this team is getting serious. Last year, it was kind of like, all right, let's see what Justin can do with less. And now the additions make a lot of people optimistic about the upcoming season.
And again, they have added a lot of talent to a team that was 3 wins last year. 3 wins. There are still fans that don't want to admit that. Well, we played them. You were 3-14. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. You had the number 1 pick for a reason. But I really like what Ryan Poles has done. We got a chance to say hi to him yesterday, and Coach Eberflus. I love that the arrow's pointing up, that there's this new era of Bears football, as we like to call it. Can they get to the top of the division? Shea thinks they can win the division. You truly believe that, right?
Yes. I'm not saying I'm placing an expectation. Like, I'm still lockstep with you guys. If they win 7 games, I'll be satisfied with growth. I'm willing to look a little higher. And if things go right and you win 10 games, I think that can win you a division this year.
The good feeling is different than winning. Like, having good vibes is different than you actually trying to win ball games. Well, here's the thing. The positive part of that is that if you got good vibes, you got a good locker room, which means that's a positive for the team as well. Imagine a negative locker room where guys are picking at each other, going back and forth, and you can't win because everyone's not pulling from the same rope. If the reports are correct and the vibe is correct at Halas Hall, that everyone's pulling from the same rope, then eventually you'll get to where you need to be. It's not like say, oh, you got a bunch of good guys in there. No, guys that want to play for each other. That's the thing that resonates with me the most. If that is the case, Cap, with some of these new Bears, along with some of the Bears that we've seen in the last few years, that's a step in the right direction for the Chicago Bears.
Completely agree. But what you just said, that needs to be preached from the mountaintops. There is having a vibe and going in the right direction is one thing. How did you phrase it right at the beginning? What you just said.
The feeling's palpable.
The feeling is there, like there's a buzz through there. Mm-hmm. We'll get to the White Sox in a little bit. There's a buzz the other way through there. I just don't know if there's enough depth in a 17-game season. I just think, man, if they win 10 games, is it sustainable? It feels like to me with the Bears, like going into 2015 with the Cubs. They were coming off a 70 whatever win season, but man, there's a lot of young talent coming. Maybe it'll take till 2016, 17 to make it run. We know what ended up happening. The White Sox in 2019, 20, wow, here they come. We know how that ended. It crashed and burned. This Bears thing feels like maybe they're not quite there, but boy, in that room, do they believe they're close. And that's cool.
If it has a feeling of the 2015 Cubs, that means that you feel like they're on the precipice of something special quickly.
Yeah, I've said to you, I believe 24, not 23, 24, that's a playoff team. 2 first-round picks, the second-round pick, the third-round pick, tons more cap space. Yeah, I do. I think that they're on the precipice of going to the playoffs next year, not this year. Maybe it'll come quicker. And then at 25, there's no reason, if Justin is who we think he is, there is no reason the Chicago Bears can't be contending to win a title. No reason.
It's interesting you brought up the defense earlier and talked about the defense because this is the background from Matt Eberflus. Now, I know that it's a different feel for him now because he's the head coach, so he has to preside over everything. You're not the defensive coordinator and head coach. Your LinkedIn resume says that you have defensive coordinator experience. And so now you're supposed to oversee the operation, everything, all 3 phases. But I think that it's still, the jury's still out on this defense on whether or not they can be at least middle of the pack in the NFL this season. I like the moves that they've made so far, but I believe that the defense will be a lot better than it was last year. But what does that really mean? Because you still have to be able to gel. Just because you assemble a depth chart doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be, a great defense. You're not going to be, the Bears under Lovie Smith. What I'm thinking about is what Eberflus said the other day regarding how the defense is going to be better. What does he predicate that on?
I would just go from my past experience. When I got to Indy, they were last, in the league and all those things. In our last year, we were not very good. And I certainly see a jump in talent. I do see that. I see the experience and the, familiarity with the scheme certainly helps. And, we got some guys that are pretty rugged up there up front. Our front seven's changed, right? There's only a couple guys that are still part of that front 7 that was from last year. So there's been a big changeover, right? And the secondary's young, and they certainly, supply a lot of run force and a lot of aggression into that too. And it's a team defensive thing, and we're excited where it is.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at the changes, some of the changes that the Bears have made, the key additions that they've had on this defense cap. So if they didn't make their latest acquisition on the defensive line, I wonder, would your opinion of the defense change?
If they didn't, say that one more time.
The last acquisition that they made.
Ngakoue. Yeah, I'm not as like, oh my God, we got Yannick Ngakoue. He's had a 6 team in 8 years. So I pumped the brakes there. That's a red flag to me. He gets to the quarterback, which is something they desperately need. I like to look. Remember when Bill Polian was coordinating the search and the story came that he told George in a meeting, to be a good football team that can contend, you have to have 12 blue chippers in your 53-man roster. And then you got to have a bunch of glue guys and good football players. So how many blue chip players, that guy'd go in the first round, do the Bears really have? Justin?
Yep.
Maybe.
We'll see.
He's 5-25 as a starter. He's worked very hard. There have been things that they want him to get better at, processing, passing, getting the ball out more quickly. Could be a blue chipper. Ones they definitely have, DJ Moore's a blue chipper. No question about it. You would think Darnell Wright, first-round pick, number 10 overall at right tackle, is a blue chipper.
We'll see.
Correct. We will see. It's 2. In terms of linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, without a doubt, is a blue chipper.
Yes.
Jaquan Brisker is a blue chipper. Eddie Jackson is a blue chipper.
Yes.
Kyler Gordon is a blue chipper. That's 6. Who else on the team right now They have guys that could develop into them right now. How many more am I missing?
Okay, so you got to put a check mark next to Cole Kmet because of what he did last season. So that means he has to capitalize on what he did even last year. The hope is he gets more footballs and he's able to get into the red zone and be able to be a threat. So that's one. Will Darnell Mooney, blessed with good health, be able to step up just like DJ Moore has already done in his career? That's a question mark. Braxton Jones, again, a raw talent, but really showed in a big way that, hey, you know what? You put me in that position. Let me see what I can do. My hope is that this upcoming season he can capitalize on what he did last year at left tackle, Braxton Jones. So then we go down to the defense. And whatever you think of Ngakoue and how many places, how many stickers he's got on his suitcase, Cap, I mean, he still has put up numbers.
That's what I said. He does the one thing they desperately need. He gets to the quarterback.
Why can't it be DeMarcus Walker?
DeMarcus Walker, his history is he's a journeyman. He's not a blue chipper.
But I just wonder in this system whether or not that narrative can change. So I just think environment matters. Coaching matters, like scheme matters, all those things, right? The hope is that you're in a group, in a positive atmosphere with good coaching and everyone pulling from the same rope that's like, you know what? I can raise my level because I'm with this team.
Don't disagree, but
Yeah.
blue chipper is, if they were on the board, they'd go in the first round right now. DeMarcus Walker's not that guy.
Well, let me just tell you, then you do not have enough to be able to fill out that dozen.
Correct. Now, you do have young guys, though. Is Pickens or Dexter going to develop into that really outstanding run-stuffing guy? We hope so. We see what Dexter Lawrence does in New York. He just got paid. Now, he went in the first round, but he was not, at the top of the draft. Can our guy develop into that? Potentially. One of those guys you would hope can. There are a few other guys on there. Is Tyreek Stevenson going to be a blue chip corner?
We'll see.
They believe he can be. Yeah. Is Chase Claypool going to be a blue chip receiver? He's got a lot to answer for. So my point is it's getting better, and the depth is getting better. That's a huge thing. The depth getting better is a humongous thing. But when Bill Polian says you need 12 blue chip, boy, those guys would go in the first round if they're on the board right now. We're not there yet.